and welcome back to episode 3 of The Comic Conspiracy. Hooray, another episode. Woohoo! We survived. This is the episode for the week of Monday, whatever it is, April 11th. I just looked it up and I forgot already. I am your host, as always, for the last 3 episodes, Ryan Higgins. I almost said Ryan Scott, actually. Ryan Higgins. And you are?
I'm Brock Sager.
Hello, Brock.
Hello, Ryan.
So, we got some stuff to talk about today. See, this is like the episode that we really get to find out what we can do. Because the first episode was like this introductory episode. We kind of talked about a lot of random stuff. And there was actually some new stuff to talk about. Second episode was our WonderCon coverage episode. Yeah. So we kind of could bullshit our way through that. We actually have to talk about stuff tonight.
Shit.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell. This will be the make or break us point. So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
Yeah. I'm also feeling much better than last week, if you couldn't tell.
Thank God.
Yeah, I can breathe again. And I don't feel like I should be wearing one of those Black Lantern t-shirts permanently.
Of course, I don't think that'll improve your typing, but...
No, I'm a terrible typer. So, we have not too much news in this post-WonderCon world, but one thing worth bringing up is that they announced the Will Eisner 2011 nominations. The Eisners are a big, kind of the Oscar of comic books, if you will. Comes out, they announced them around this time, and then they actually just announced them today. And then, or last night maybe, and then tonight being the 8th, this is Friday, we record Friday, put it on Monday, so this will have recorded, by the time you guys hear this, it will be announced a couple days ago. But then they have them at the San Diego Comic-Con, is when they actually announce the winners, and there's a big ceremony, and all sorts of fun stuff. So, yeah, I mean, there's some cool stuff. Yeah, DC actually got 14 nominations, Image got 12, if I remember correctly. And that's about, I mean, Image doesn't usually get quite that many, but DC normally cleans up on the Eisners. Very, very rare to see Marvel getting Eisner awards.
Hold on.
Yeah. Marvel doesn't publish Eisner winning
Well, Eisner
comics.
Is a prestigious award. I mean, it is. It's an award that's recognized not only in comic books, but in literature and in the whole writing sort of genre.
I mean, let's look at a couple here. The best single issues this year. The nominations are The Cape by Joe Hill for IDW. That's Stephen King's son. Fables #1 by Bill Willingham. Fables number 100,
which you haven't even read.
Yeah, it's the last issue. I need to read it.
Awesome issue.
Fables 100 by Bill Willingham, Mark Buckingham, and others for Vertigo and DC. The Hellboy double feature by Mike Mignola and Richard Corbin for Dark Horse. Lock and Key #1 by Joe Hill. This is the new
that's Lock and Key Keys of the Kingdom.
Right, this is the new miniseries. Also by IDW. And Unknown Soldier #21 by Joshua Dessart and Rick Veitch for Vertigo. These are not typical superhero books. They tend to be alternative or independent books. They tend to be something that's not you'll get your All-Star Supermans and Starman and things like that was probably nominated, but you're not going to get a typical book. Going down a little further here, looking at the best continuing series, some really good nominations here. Yeah. Chew by John Layman. I think we talked about that last week, right? They were saying last week or two, because there's a Chew TV show being worked on. I think it was in the first episode.
It was in our Lost episode.
Oh, was it? Did we not talk about the Chew TV show?
No, we didn't.
That was a Showtime, right?
Yeah, we talked about that on the Lost first episode.
Maybe we'll cut and paste that somehow. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, there's a Chew TV show. If you like this, if you've read this comic, it's
never read Chew.
Yeah, I read the first issue. It was decent. It's in this giant stack of books I need to read. It's about, now let me see if I get this right. Chicken is illegal. If I'm remembering the story correctly, chicken is illegal. It's illegal to eat chicken. And this guy gets these weird visions when he eats people or when he eats things near people. He can see it's like Sixth Sense, but he eats people and yeah. No, you're giving me a weird look on. Seriously, this is what this book's about. It's supposed to be a very good book.
Okay.
It's on my list.
Okay. You can read it.
Echo by Terry Moore, who also did Strange to Paradise.
Which is now over, right?
Strange to Paradise has been over for a while.
No, Echo.
Echo's finishing up very soon.
I thought the last issue was out already.
I think there's still one or two more.
Wasn't it issue 30 was the last one?
I don't know. That's coming up soon. Lock and Key by Joe Hill, again. I read the first miniseries, pretty decent, just cool horror stuff. Morning Glories by Nick Spencer, which is an Image title. On the list, I have the trade sitting at my house. I need to read it. I've heard so much good stuff about Morning Glory. Someone actually started a thread about it on the Geekbox forum.
Do we have a copy?
Forums.geekbox.net, which is where you can come talk comics with us. We have plenty of copies in the store. Yeah, I'm sure we get a copy of the trade.
I might have to.
Nick Spencer's the new hot shit. So he got picked up by both DC and Marvel, but I think he's exclusive with Marvel now. Urasawa's 20th Century Boys by Viz. Man, you've never seen these movies. I want to read these books really bad. I hadn't read the comics before. It's a manga by Viz. And actually with the upcoming what is it called, the Fanime, which is a anime convention they have in San Jose.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't mind doing an episode based on anime and manga. I know you don't really watch too much of it or read too much, but I think it'd be interesting to talk about, especially with someone who hasn't read much. I don't know. We'll see if I got anyone on that they could talk manga, because I think it'd be fun.
Scalped is on the list.
Scalped is on the list. Hooray! That's one of my favorite books.
Scalped is awesome. You turned me on to Scalped, and it is gritty. It's dark. It doesn't hold back. I mean, it kicks your ass. Just the titles alone of the trade paperbacks are awesome.
I mean, for my money, Scalped is the best book, I would say, over Fables, over Unwritten, over looking at DMZ. Sorry, Brock. I like Scalped.
No, that's fine.
It is my favorite Vertigo book, and easily one of my favorite books right now.
Scalped, I think the reason being is Scalped is the the realistic book out right now. It's that title that just, I mean, it's about Indian reservation FBI, or an FBI agent who has to go back to the Indian reservation that he is from, and he doesn't want to be there, but he's stuck. And so it's all of this. It's kind of like that movie with Val Kilmer. What's it, Thunderheart?
I never saw that.
But it's more Indian than this white FBI guy coming in. But I think it's the most realistic. Like, actually could be happening right now in our, in the plains right now.
Well, I mean, this is a HBO miniseries waiting to be happening. It's about a current undercover FBI agent named Dashiell, right, who comes back to his Indian reservation in order to basically take down the corrupt Indian chief who's running a casino, and the FBI are trying to take him down. And Dash he's an asshole. He's a drug abuser. He's a terrible person, and he's the hero of the book. This is the grittiest, darkest book that I'm not ever read, but maybe it has to be up there in my top 3. This book is dark, and it makes you feel terrible, and I love it. So I'd love to see Scalped win.
Do you feel dirty after reading it?
I don't know. Not really. It is very dark. I didn't get to actually finish talking about 20th Century Boys. Very interesting story. Something I'd like to get into more at some point, but it's about, because I've only seen the movies. So there were 3 movies that came out based around 20th Century Boys. I went up to Japantown and saw 2 of them up there, and I saw the 3rd one online. It's about this strange character named Friend, who there was a group of kids when they were in elementary school together. They kind of made the society, and as they grew up, one of them became this enigmatic character named Friend, who sort of this entire culture of I don't know how to describe it. Just everyone followed him, almost like a Jesus figure. He was this huge figure in the world and basically ran the world. And it's about this small group of friends coming back together after years apart, trying to, 1, figure out who Friend is, and 2, try to take him or her down. Now, I understand the movies and the books are different, so which is why I really want to read the books, because I've only seen the movies. I read a couple of scans online and read the first few pages and went, no, I have to just go buy these, because Viz puts out some fantastic books, and I'm going to butcher the name like you do all Japanese titles. Naoki Urasawa, is the writer, and he did this. I want to say there's a handful of other books that he's done called Monster, I believe. A bunch of books. I really want to read these. So this guy's great. I may totally be wrong in that last book. But
somebody on the forums will let you know you're wrong.
Oh, I know. All
right, best limited series?
Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of stuff. Baltimore, which is a Mike Mignola, one of his alternate non-Hellboy books. Cinderella miniseries from Fabletown with Love, which is fun stuff. Chris Robertson, current run on Superman, actually. Daytripper, that's your favorite book.
Daytripper's awesome.
By Fabian Moon and Gabriel Ba.
Daytripper is amazing.
Yeah, I read the first couple issues, didn't finish it, so I need to pick up the trade.
If you didn't read them all the way through, I suggest, picking up the trade, reading it all together, because it's about a character named, I don't know, was it Boz?
That sounds right.
Name. And he writes obituaries for a paper, and each issue is what if he had died at this point in time in his life. So it's kind of this very back and forth childhood, adulthood, 20-something, close to death. But it's very, very rich and deep and just thought-provoking and it's very emotional.
Yeah.
But, I gave it to my father, actually, for his birthday this year, and he loved it.
Nice.
So, definitely, if it wins an Eisner, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's a good chance. And Joe the Barbarian, which is a Grant Morrison miniseries that came out from Vertigo, that's on the list. I heard mixed reactions. Again, like a lot of Vertigo miniseries, I tend to wait till the entire book is out before I read it. So, I haven't read it yet. It's Grant Morrison.
I've read it.
I love Grant Morrison.
I've read it, and I think the biggest disappointment was the last issue took too long to come out.
But would that affect it reading it as one big story?
A little bit. I think the ending is very heavy and very quick.
Did it not flow properly?
Well, everything else, every issue had kind of a flow to it and kind of something going along with it. And then the last issue was thicker than all the other ones, and he was kind of trying to finish everything up. Not a bad story,
sure.
But definitely, I can see why it's on the list for the Eisners, but I wouldn't say it should win for. Especially going up against Cinderella and.
Yeah, first Cinderella miniseries is really good.
Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one that's right here with Fabletown with Love.
No, the first miniseries from a couple years ago.
From Fabletown with Love.
Oh no! This is the first miniseries. Yeah. They just started a second one.
A new one, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is the first one.
You were correct. This is the first
her
one.
Branching off. Cinderella is in the Fabletown universe. She's a spy,
Right.
So Cinderella from Fabletown with Love is like Cinderella's James Bond little antic stories, and actually they're fun, they're interesting, they're lighthearted, but they are very action oriented, very spy oriented. So,
and all the Fable spin-offs have been good. I mean, Jack of Fables just wrapped up with issue 50. I think that was a good series.
It was a good series. The ending was a little out there, but I mean, it was still wrapped up fairly well.
101 Nights of Snowfall.
Oh, that was
the
amazing.
Graphic novel was really good.
That was amazing.
I didn't read the novel, but you like
Peter and Max was a very, very good novelization addition to the Fables
in the
universe.
world.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the main characters aren't in that book because I haven't read it.
They are.
Oh, they are.
A lot of the main characters are in the book, but they're briefly in the book.
Okay,
it's like they're in passing. The story is more about Peter and Max.
Okay.
So not necessarily. They make an appearance. A couple of them make an appearance,
Sure.
but they're not main characters in the book.
The last on the best limited series list is Stumptown by Greg Rucka, and I'm going to blank on the artist's name. Here is it? Matthew Southworth, Oni Press book. Again, miniseries, haven't read it yet. Too many of these miniseries. I'm like, I'll wait till the trade's out. I'll wait till it's done, and then stacks upon stacks of books get in front of the list. So, but Greg Rucka, Stumptown, writing a crime, I believe it's a crime book in Portland. Hey, I'm sure it's good. Only other category I want to talk about, there's so many categories. We could do a whole episode on this.
Well, they got the publications for kids, for teens.
The best new series is the other main category. Yeah. American Vampire by Scott Snyder, Stephen King, or Raphael Albuquerque, Vertigo. Terrific title. I read the first arc with the Stephen King backups yet. I haven't continued on to the second volume yet. It's a good slow burn horror. I like. I'm partial to vampire stuff. I think it's, when done right, I'm like Twilight vampire and regular vampires. It's a good slow burn. It was Stephen King backups. Those were pretty fun.
Yeah, no, I've been reading the American vampire stuff, and they're starting to get into other areas. And the current story arc is during World War II in the Pacific campaign against Japan. So we'll see.
Yeah,
but I've been enjoying it. But like you said, yes, I think it's a slow burn. It's not something that's oh, look, here's a vampire and a whole bunch of babes are around him and they're naked and all this stuff. No, it's more of a kind of stories about vampires surviving. I would say I'd say it falls a lot more along the Anne Rice vampires.
Yeah, and that's where I was getting with that slow burn.
Yeah.
Just really felt like that. He's also doing, there's another book here by, where is his name? Chris Robertson, iZombie. Mm-hmm. Mike Allred doing the art.
I haven't read it either.
Haven't read it either. It was one of those books that kind of came out, I figured the last few issues. Mike Allred's great, but he attaches himself to some weird projects. It's on the list as always.
I've never been a big fan of his artwork.
Mike Allred?
Mm-hmm.
It takes the right book. I loved him on Ecstatics with Peter Milligan, which is an X-Men spin-off book. Very weird, very quirky. His Madman stuff, the original books he did back in the late 80s, early 90s, just fantastic. It takes the right sort of book for him to be on. I wouldn't want to see him on a real mainstream book, but he does the quirky, old-school kind of animation style art pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a couple others, and this is the book that really threw me off this list. Marine Man by Ian Churchill, which is a book for Image. I don't understand why this book is on this list.
Did you even order for this?
We ordered a couple copies, but I didn't sell any. I think I'm ordering one, and it's just on the shelf. This is basically just a weird, goofy Aquaman ripoff book for Image, and I haven't heard anything good about it, and everyone's like, and no one I don't know why this book is on this list. It's a very weird title. It seems so unless I'm missing something completely about this book, it's very unlike everything else on this list. So I don't really understand why this is on here. Morning Glories, again by Nick Spencer, from Image. I should just go read that book tonight. I really have to.
Yeah, I think we both should. If there's a copy in the store, I'm going to borrow it. I'll bring it back on Monday.
And the last one lists the new Superboy series by Jeff Lemire and Pierre Gallo. I know you don't like it, but I thought it's fun.
No, I can see where it's fun. I can see where a lot of people would enjoy it. It's very lighthearted, but I've never been a big fan of. Is it Connor?
Oh, I love Connor.
I
love Crypto. I love Smallville.
To me, it's like it didn't fit right. Like I was interested in it, but I think just the progression of the story didn't grab me and keep me there.
Okay.
His stuff the stuff that was going on with him in Adventure Comics when they relaunched Adventure Comics, that was some good stuff.
That's what I was going to ask, because they launched this Superboy series out of Jeff Johns' run on Adventure Comics. Sort of restarted Superboy, brought him back to Smallville, kind of set the status quo for what this ongoing series was, and I thought that was really good. And I thought Jeff Lemire has done a good job keeping that going, but
not for me.
I understand not everyone's been liking it, but it's not a big smash, big fighty superhero book. It's a very different title.
Yeah. It seems like it's trying to be Johns' adventures while being a Smallville.
I could see that.
So, I mean, it's at least interesting. The artwork's okay on it. I have no problem with what's his name? Who does it again?
Yeah, Pierre Gallo.
Yeah, Pierre is very, very good artist.
Pierre.
If we're butchering your name, you can let us know.
Yeah.
Anytime, anybody.
I butcher everyone's names.
So do I.
Well, so you can go check a bunch of different sites. Bleeding Cool, Comic Book Resources, Newsarama. Every site has a list up for the Eisner Award nominations. You go check the list. If there's something you think should win, you should let us know. That'd be cool. See if you could pick the winners. Maybe we'll give us some prizes or something.
Uh-oh.
Did I just commit myself?
Third episode, we're doing prizes?
Sure.
Oh, jeez.
Never know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. What we're going to do the rest of this episode is not something we plan on doing on every episode. But I think due to, one, a little bit of a lack of news, and two, because 3 huge books have come out this week, we actually want to talk about a few books, brand new books that came out this week, and probably spoil the shit out of these. So
Spoiler
be warned.
Alerts.
Be warned.
Spoiler alerts. What's the timestamp?
20 minutes and 25 seconds. We'll
That's
call it
probably
there.
not going to be the right. So at about 19, 18 minutes.
Yeah. The 3 books we're going to talk about this week are Nonplayer #1 from Image Comics by Nick Spencer. Brightest Day #23.
Did you just say Nick Spencer?
Did I say Nick Spencer?
Yeah, it's Nate Simpson.
Oh, Nick. I was looking at the Morning Glories thing here because this is Nick Spencer. Sorry. By Nate Simpson. Sorry, Nick Spencer and Nate Simpson. I apologize to both of you. You both do good work, though.
Nonplayer
#1 by Image Comics by Nate Simpson, not Nick Spector. Although Nick Spencer does write a lot of books, so it wouldn't surprise me if he wrote this too. Brightest Day #23. For DC Comics by my man Jeff Johns.
Johnson Tomasi.
And Peter Tomasi. And Fear Itself #1 by Matt Fraction. Brock, pick your order. How do you want to do this?
Let's start with Fear Itself.
So you want to start from the worst and go all the way up to the top?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. Now, we've talked a lot in the last 2 episodes about DC Comics. And I like DC Comics a whole lot. Now, I like Marvel. I do actually. Let's get this out of the way before I'm accused of anything.
Yeah, go for it.
I actually really like Marvel, and I think you're the same way, Brock. You really like Marvel. However, I just feel that a lot of the stuff over the last 5 or 6 years, basically Civil War and on, or House of M and on, I haven't enjoyed a lot of their titles. I think some of their books are great. Captain America, a lot of the space stuff. A lot of their miniseries, out-of-continuity books. They've done some cool stuff. And I actually do like the big adventure books. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Civil War for what it is. But I haven't felt really connected to the universe in a while. Matt Fraction, who writes Thor, currently, Iron Man, now this Fear Itself miniseries, I really like. Now, his Thor book, I haven't really enjoyed. It's just... He went back.
He's also writing on Uncanny. He's
writing on Uncanny X-Men as well. Now, the thing with Thor that kind of drives me crazy is when J. Michael Straczynski took over the book and relaunched it a few years back. He said he's getting rid of all the these and thous and those, and getting rid of the weird faux English speak, and just kind of making Thor a little more normal. And I thought that was a terrible idea at the time until the book came out. I actually think it worked really well.
No, it did.
Matt Fraction and the previous writers who have taken over after Straczynski left have gone back to the original sort of feel of Thor. And I think that's a bad idea. It's very hard to read. Pascal Ferry's the artist on the book, and I think, not on Fear Itself, on Thor, and I think Pascal Ferry's a pretty decent artist, but the book is very hard to read. Very hard to read. So, the problem with Fear Itself, my first problem I had with it was I don't feel there was a very good introduction to sort of the layout of sort of like say, hey, here's the status quo of a bunch of these characters. Now, not every book's going to do that, but to the best of my knowledge, Odin, Thor's father, was still dead, who Thor plays a major part in Fear Itself, because he died a number of years ago. They apparently brought him back a month or 2 ago, but I had no idea.
Well, they had brought him back during Siege. It was about the time during Siege where there was... I think it's right around the time of Siege. Before, it could be after.
No, he came back like 2 months ago.
There was some... I remember reading a Thor book where he was battling his father in the afterlife or something.
Yeah, that's not back. Yeah, he's back as of like a few months ago.
Okay.
So I had no idea. So I was a little bit confused my first read through because I thought it was a bunch of flashbacks mixed into the main books, and that's not the case. Upon rereading again, I thought the book was a little bit better my second time through because it made a little more sense. But again, that's my fault for not knowing the current continuity of this character. But like I said, I think the book could have used a little bit of introduction. Now, Fear Itself. Actually, this is a question, Brock. Since you don't really read a ton of the solicitations and you don't read everything that's coming out in months, what'd you get out of this first issue? What was your take on it?
Well,
like, what's the plot? What's the overall plot?
The overall plot is Sin,
correct,
which is the Red Skull's daughter,
right,
who is predominantly been in recently and before in the Captain America books as a villain.
The Ed Brubaker Captain America stuff.
It's very, very good stuff in there.
Great title.
Yeah.
Great title.
She's trying to pick up where her father left off.
Okay.
She's trying to take his greatest failure and make it not a failure. I read the book at the Fear Itself book Book of Fear? Or
The prologue issue.
book.
Right.
And it was an interesting story. It wasn't fantastical, but
Yeah.
reading Fear itself, it feels like they're trying to shove the greatness that's been going through the Captain America books into Thor's world and the world of everybody in general. But I didn't get the feel of anything Fear itself-ish, I guess you can say, throughout this whole thing, because it's like, okay, we're focusing on Sin, we're focusing on Thor, and then there's all these other Marvel characters running around in the background. It doesn't feel like this is a major crossover.
Well, I'd like to liken it to Blackest Night, which is DC's crossover from a couple years ago. In Blackest Night, they resurrected a character named Necron, who had only made a couple appearances before in the DC universe. He was basically the throwaway villain, but he had a couple cool stories, especially in the Tales of the Green Lantern Corps miniseries where he was introduced, and there was a handful of other appearances. But I think John's made us go, holy shit, after just this first time you see him. It doesn't matter if you don't know who he is. Holy shit, who is this guy?
Yeah.
So in Fear itself, it's about, like we said, Sin. Trying to resurrect an ancient Asgardian fear god. Now, I don't really... This is the plot of the book, but I don't feel that this is explained throughout the course of the first issue.
No, it's not.
Sin summons the Hammer of Skadi, who is a Norse frost giant.
It's a female.
A female frost giant who has this hammer, unknown to myself. This is actually a real mythological being who is, according to the little internet browsing, made 1 or 2 appearances in the Marvel Universe prior. I don't feel like there was any... There was no introduction, but I didn't get that big splash page of, I am now Skadi. Okay. Like, I didn't feel that.
Yeah.
That sort of, oh. And Skadi is going to go resurrect her father, Thiazi. So she basically... So Sin, Thor, when he becomes... the original concept of Thor was he was a doctor, and he hits the hammer on the ground, he becomes Thor. Or the stick, I'm sorry. He becomes Thor, and his walking stick turns into the hammer of Thor and all that. This is sort of the same thing where Sin, through the use of the hammer, becomes Skadi, this Norse winter frost giant
female god,
right? Who is now trying to resurrect her dead father Thiazi, who is apparently the original All-Father, which is what Thor's father Odin is, the All-Father. And I just like, maybe this is just a bad case of an issue number 1, but I felt like a lot of the information in this issue wasn't presented very well, and this is a lot of internet searching.
Well,
and
I think there
wasn't that one page of, holy shit, this guy just beat the hell out of this guy and look at this crazy crap. Yep. You get Thor and Odin fighting a bit, but again, the end of the issue, spoilers, is Thor or the Odin and all the Asgardians leave Earth.
Why?
Well, not only why, but who cares?
Yeah.
They've never been on Earth before. They're leaving now.
I think...
What's the deal? Who cares?
I think to kind of sum up Fear itself, I mean, the artwork was great.
Oh, yeah. Stuart Immonen, he's a fantastic artist.
Spider-Man
and Matt Fraction's not a terrible writer. I think there's just a bad case of an issue number 1 not giving you that oomph moment.
Exactly. But I think it sums up by something that Spider-Man says to Cap on the last page. He goes, Cap, what just happened?
Now, see, I'm okay with that sort of reaction in some books, because you're like, holy crap, what just happened?
Yeah.
But this wasn't a holy crap, what just happened? This was a
what just happened?
What just happened? Yeah. And I think it's a hard sell to get out of a first issue of a major crossover. Civil War, very easy concept. Superheroes fighting each other. Blackest Night, very easy concept. The dead are coming back. House of M, all the mutants are dead, alternate reality. These are very easy concepts. The daughter of a Captain America villain summoning a previously unmentioned fear god of an Asgardian. It doesn't. There's no easy pitch. To me, I think this book is just lacking a basic here's the quick hook. Heroes versus Asgardian Fear God. I mean, I guess that's a quick hook, but you don't get it in the first issue.
No.
So, I like Matt Fraction a lot. I really hope the series picks up. I'm excited for it. It's just the first issue really did not deliver for me. I may be saying, in 5-6 months when the series is over, hey, the series is awesome. You just could read the whole thing through. And, it's not like Matt Fraction writes for the trades. I mean, I usually, when I read his Invisible Iron Man or Uncanny X-Men, I feel pretty satisfied at the end.
Every issue of Iron Man and every issue of Uncanny X-Men gives you something in the issue and leaves you wanting a little bit more at the end.
Especially Iron Man. Like I said, Thor's been kind of hit or miss. Mostly miss for me. Uncanny X-Men's been pretty good.
Well, Uncanny X-Men is consistent.
I think it's been pretty consistent since he's been on, but I think Iron Man has been really, really good, and with this being a Cap and Thor book, I was hoping for more of the Iron Man part of the trilogy, and I don't know if we're going to get it, but I'm excited.
All right, moving on.
Nonplayer, number 1, not by Nick Spencer.
Okay.
By Nate Simpson.
Nate Simpson. You told me last week that I was to pick up this book, period.
I told everyone on the podcast to pick up this book. Nonplayer number 1.
Yeah, on Geekbox?
By no, on this.
On this, yes.
At the very end of the episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this.
Nonplayer.
You
by
told
Nate
me to
Simpson.
pick this up. I waited to read this on my reading list this week. This book's amazing. I mean, I don't play MMOs. I have no desire to log on and go into the online world of Warcraft or DC Universe. Well, if it was free, I'd do DC Online. But it surprised me. It drops you in very well. I mean, it is a very, very thematic comic book in the sense of as you read this, you can. It's almost like watching still like the storyboard of a actual movie.
Yeah,
and reading it through the first time, there was a couple points where I was like, "What is going on?" But I read it again, and I want issue 2.
You're going to have to wait a while.
I know.
So the quick non-super spoiler, although there's not a lot to really spoil, of this book is girl plays an MMO. MMO in the real world are sort of like, are they any different from each other? MMO is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, things like World of Warcraft, EverQuest.
DCU Online.
DCU Online.
Star Trek Online.
Yeah. Where this girl plays this game, and she is, unhappy in her real life. And when she's in the game, she's super excited because she gets to be this crazy ass-kicking chick. And there you go. It seems like there's something in the game, the characters in the game are acting out of place. Yeah. The game and the real world, are they merging? Are they coming together? Is the real world fake and the game world is real? These are the questions that I think the series is going to bring up. And, first issue, the writing's good. The art is incredible.
Yeah.
Better than I thought even when I was just sitting there looking at the preview pages online. This book, I hope everyone picks up. The majority now says there's going to be a huge second print on it. I've ordered... I ordered more than I did... I ordered more of the second print than I did Fear itself, number 1. About what I'm ordering for Flashpoint, number 1. This is a book I'm going to have people, when they come up, I'm going to be like, have you read this book? They will say no. I will say, if you don't buy it, I'm giving you a copy for free because this book is amazing.
Whoa. Slow down there, man.
No.
Let's not go out of business.
I do it every now and again. This is a book that I want to see this guy succeed. I want people to buy this book. This book is awesome.
You are also impacted a lot by this because of the artwork. You are not easily impressed by artwork. And when artwork impresses you, that is a big deal.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this last episode when I was talking about Frank Quietly. I'm generally there for the story. A lot of times I'm there for the character. If the art's good, cool. But if the art's just subpar or standard or just kind of it doesn't really ruin anything for me. This guy is on my very, very short list of absolute favorite artists after seeing one book by him. Yeah. Unless he goes way downhill all of a sudden because you can't get the book out in time. This guy is... Nate Simpson. This guy is... God. I hope he keeps doing comics. I hope someone doesn't pick him up. Yeah, is Brock's showing me this page right now, and we'll put this up on the thread on forums.geekbox.net. The last 2-page spread of this book is her riding a moped in the real world. And the real world's sort of like futurized Tokyo style. There's all sorts of mechas picking up the trash. It's not a standard real world. and then she's riding her bike, and the world sort of changes into the fantasy world as she puts on this sort of. They say she activates something.
Skin.
Yeah. So she's going into the game in real life.
Which I think what he was saying here is that she activates the life skin, and this is what the life skin does to the real world.
So you're seeing this fantasy world
based on
what's real.
So you'll see the mecha up here on the left doing trash, right? But over here, it's a huge giant troll collecting fruit. Right? You see these girls jogging down the street, but it's actually warrior chicks jogging.
Warriors running, right.
So I think what it's saying is, this futurized cement bridge becomes this rock kind of thing. I think what it does is this MMO that she's playing is
the real world.
Well, no, it's not necessarily the real world. It's elevated gaming in the sense of I would walk into outside and it would transform the world into something that I would see in a James Cameron Avatar 2 movie or something.
Yeah.
Please don't make Avatar 2.
Too bad.
They are making a number 2?
No, of course.
Oh, jeez. But
and it will be a number 2 as well.
Yeah. But Nonplayer by Nate Simpson.
Not Nick Spencer.
Would you stop? Let's say it one
clear.
time without Nick getting butted in there. Nonplayer by Nate Simpson. You should definitely pick up a copy and check it out.
Yeah. So if that's our mid-title of the book, does that mean Brightest Day 23 is our big book of the week?
You didn't get chills reading this?
Oh, I did.
I got chills reading this. You know how long it's been since I've gotten chills reading a comic book?
Since you read Nonplayer number 1?
I didn't get chills when I read that.
Oh, okay.
I was just impressed.
Yeah.
Brightest Day 23. Holy crap.
Well, big spoilers for Brightest Day 23, but if you haven't heard already, you've not been on the internet for the last week, you haven't been following con reports, you haven't been reading interviews, hopefully this is not too big of a spoiler for people who haven't read it, but this is a big deal comic that I think is flying under the radar for some people, because in Brightest Day 23, they bring back a character that's not been in the DC universe for quite some time. And that is Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing.
Now you may say, what does that matter? Swamp Thing's a DC character, blah, blah, blah. Many years ago, DC Comics and Vertigo, yes, that's a great page. Many years ago, DC Comics and Vertigo, DC Comics split off a line of theirs called Vertigo. They took a bunch of their darker, more adult-oriented titles, Sandman, Shade the Changing Man, Animal Man, Swamp Thing, and put them off into their own little separate universe. For many years, they allowed crossovers. Superman appeared in Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol. These characters appeared. Death appeared in an issue of Captain Atom, although, from what I understand, Neil Gaiman didn't like that. There's been all this crossover. Well, within the last decade, maybe 12 years or so, DC kind of said, look, we don't want a kid to pick up a Superman book and go, hey, Superman, and then pick up a Swamp Thing book and go, oh, hey, Swamp Thing. Superman's in the Swamp Thing book. Oh, look, Swamp Thing's all nudity and swearing and graphic violence. So let's make the Swamp Thing, Hellblazer, Sandman. Let's make all these characters. They don't exist in the DC universe. They're pushed off. Some characters came back. Zatanna came back. Animal Man came back. There were a handful of characters that came back into the DC universe, Doom Patrol. But Swamp Thing was always the big one that he stayed a Vertigo book. He had a couple of series that just kind of failed, kind of flopped, didn't do much. Even one written by Brian K. Vaughan, if I'm not mistaken. Am I mistaken?
You got the internet right there.
Yeah, the internet's for losers. Yeah, I should actually check that before I put this episode up. Anyway, I'll see if I edit this part out. Swamp Thing. There was a ton of people wanting him back in the DC universe, but DC just saying, no. Well, with the big regime change at DC, a year and a half ago or so, a lot of these things that people kept saying no to, they've started to say yes to.
Yeah.
Now, bringing back Vertigo characters into the DC universe. To do with Death from Neil Gaiman's Sandman appeared in an issue of Paul Cornell's Action Comics with Lex Luthor. And in Brightest Day 23, they brought Swamp Thing back as the protector of Earth. Basically, Swamp Thing's an elemental.
He's the green.
The green of Earth, of all life. Mm-hmm. The green has been corrupted. He's now the black.
Yeah.
Swamp Thing is kind of pissed, and he's jacked up right now. And this whole Brightest Day, you basically have Firestorm becomes a fire elemental, Martian Manhunter becomes the earth elemental, Aquaman becomes the water elemental, Hawkman and Hawkgirl become the air elementals, Swamp Thing is the green. Now he's become, capital G, the green, the black. He is now totally corrupted. Yeah. And there's been a couple different interpretations on this, and I'm not sure. We will know more next week when the next issue comes out, but it appeared to me that the White Lantern was summoning Alec Holland, who is the... although there's been various retcons of this throughout the years, Brock knows what I'm talking about because he recently read Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, right?
Yes, I just finished it about a month ago.
But Alec Holland was the original Swamp Thing. Yeah. Now, I mean, there were tons of stuff that he wasn't actually Alec Holland, that it was like a memory implanted onto Swamp Thing, kind of like Thor and Donald Blake, where Donald Blake was never actually a real person once he became Thor. That Thor was like the real personality, that Donald Blake was sort of the side thing. Same thing here with Alec Holland and Swamp Thing, but Swamp Thing being back, or they're resurrecting Alec Holland to now become the White Lantern.
Well,
to cleanse the black from Swamp Thing.
I think that you hit it on the nail with kind of that whole Thor, Donald Blake, Alec Holland, Swamp Thing kind of comparison. I think what it was more along the lines of Alec Holland has always been a character in the Vertigo universe, DC universe, who has been kind of the avatar for life.
Right.
He's always been the character that, he was a scientist looking for ways to basically make life better. And he dies in an explosion, and he's thrown into the swamp.
Right.
And which is, then he becomes the Swamp Thing. And I think what you're saying is a little bit there is, I think Alec Holland's passion for life, being he was such an advocate for life, caused his essence to be grafted onto kind of the Swamp Thing.
Right, right.
And so the Swamp Thing...
Because, as an elemental, you're always there.
Yeah, you're always there. Right. So I think that...
It's always existed.
I think that what happened... I don't know what happened at the end of the other Swamp Thing series, but having Swamp Thing and Alec Holland now as two separate entities, I think is very... Man, I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah.
I
kind of want to read some of the last page of this book here, kind of see what he's saying, that they want to protect the Parliament of Trees, which is sort of where...
The Parliament of Trees is basically... The green has always had... There's always been a protector on Earth, and when a protector retires, they go to what's called the Parliament of Trees.
Right.
And so Swamp Thing it is the last one and never retired, so when he went away, there has not been like an advocate of the green or an embodiment of the green since.
Right, because it says, the Parliament of Trees has lost its defender. It has been corrupted, but the forest holds salvation. It holds the body of the One, Earth's ultimate savior. His name is Alec Holland. So, yeah, as far as I don't know if there's going to be a White Lantern, per se. If there is, I guess it's Alec Holland. Does Alec Holland merge back with Swamp Thing in order to... Does the white of Alec Holland merge with the black, corrupting Swamp Thing, freeing Swamp Thing and returning him to be Earth's elemental protector? Is there... Because I know they said there's an upcoming miniseries that they're like, we don't know, we don't know that, there's trouble and that, the greatest hero that returned is not what everyone thinks he is or what they want him to be. They're talking about Alec Holland. They're talking about Swamp Thing. Guess we'll find out. We got one more issue of Brightest Day. I'm really excited.
I think that if you haven't been reading Brightest Day, you can still pick it up anywhere.
Just this issue.
Issues.
Just like availability.
Yeah, availability.
Yeah, I'm sure most stores have it.
I think what's confusing about a lot of people is Johns has thrown us for loops before.
Yeah.
So, how many people ended up being a White Lantern at the end of Blackest Night?
It was 12.
It was like 12. Well, no, it It was Hal had it for a second, and then Sinestro had it, and then Deadman had it. So it was like there was this hopping going on. You were like, and then,
All right.
So with one issue left, I don't think we're gonna do that but definitely has been a long time since a comic book I was just taken away by a comic book.
Yeah. It was good. I saw it coming. We've talked about this before. I've talked about this on online and with friends. I had a feeling Swamp Thing was coming out of this. I just didn't know how they were going to do it. Because this is kind of a cold introduction to Swamp Thing. Again, this is sort of like, I think a little bit like Fear Itself #1, where you have no idea who the hell Swamp Thing is, and you have no idea who the hell Alec Holland is if you're not familiar with it. If you are familiar with it. But I think, Swamp Thing, most DC fans know who Swamp Thing is.
Yeah.
Again, the characters in Fear Itself, it's a little bit more obscure. But
even with Necron, nobody really knew who Necron was, but his character didn't really need that introduction. We knew what he was doing.
Right.
What is Sin doing? I mean, you don't know what she's doing. You don't have any really. Is she taking over the world? Is she just causing chaos? What is she doing? Because all she does in Captain America is play games and cause chaos.
All right.
We'll see.
Brightest Day 23. Go pick it up at your local comic shop. If they're cool and have it in stock. And hopefully they do, if they haven't sold out already. I think we're going to go ahead and call it.
No, was there something else we had to talk about? No. Okay.
Good.
Then we have to do our random comic of the week.
We will have lots of stuff to talk about next week.
Your random comic of the week?
My random comic of the week. You're putting me on the spot here, Brock. Since we're talking about Fear Itself, I have to recommend Ed Brubaker's Captain America. I was never a big Captain America fan, but man, oh man, ever since he relaunched it back, what was like 04, 05, something like that, somewhere around that range.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Absolutely fantastic book. I mean, I never gave two craps about Captain America, but Ed Brubaker, my mind can do very little wrong. First trade is Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
Highly recommend. They have like a collected edition that collects the first couple trades into one big fat trade. The Ultimate Collection, I believe it's called. Check that out. I think you'll like it.
Nice.
Hit me, Brock.
Hit you with something? Let's go for... I'm trying to think of what I read recently.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
Just because I did that at the beginning when we were doing testing, you bastard. You know what? I think people should pick up Transmetropolitan.
Good.
They've recently redone the trades, and they're almost finished putting those out.
Yes.
That's written by Warren Ellis.
Yep. Art by Derek Robertson.
That book is like a horrible, horrible acid trip, but for some odd reason, it's like the most amazing thing, and Derek Robertson is so detailed in his randomness.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there is so much he crams into one panel. It's like, how in the hell do you do that?
Yeah, it's Hunter S. Thompson. It's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, except it's in the future, and he's got a gun.
That makes you shit
makes you shit yourself.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Spider Jerusalem in Transmetropolitan. Check it out.
Yeah. Great book. Excellent. Well, let's get the hell out of here. I'm hungry. I want to get some food. I got nothing else. I don't want to talk comics anymore. I'm done with it.
It's because you're hungry.
Yeah, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten yet. I got some fish waiting at home.
So we will have forum posts for Nonplayer.
Yeah, I want to post that art if I got it up there. So if we can get a copy of that last 2 pages. I think I've seen it online as a print, so let's put that up there. You should join us on www.geekbox.net, where we talk about comics and crap, and the other podcasts we respond from Geekbox, which is a lot of fun. Talk about video games.
You can find information that I post at conspiratorbrock.blogspot.com.
Blogging it up, huh?
Hey, the other blog's just way too long to say on.
Okay,
conspiratorbrock.blogspot.com.
You can join us on the forums, forums.geekbox.net. You can follow us on the Facebook, which we're under, I think it's just facebook.com/geekbox, possibly the Geekbox. And there's no actual separate page for this page. We're all just on the Geekbox page. You can follow me on Twitter, Ryan Higgins Ryan. I know Brock hates the Twitter.
Tweeters.
It's fun stuff, man. It's fun. It's a total waste of time, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah. Follow us twitter.com/RyanHigginsRyan. Or visit the store if you're in Sunnyvale, California. You can find all the information for that on the website. You can send us an email to thecomicconspiracy@geekbox.net. And we'll read. I got a couple of emails. We really got to read.
You got emails and you didn't tell me.
I have like 2 or 3 emails and a handful of.
Forward me this shit.
And a handful of posts on the forum I want to read. And yes, unlike Ryan Scott on the Geekbox, I'll actually read forum posts on here. So make some forum posts and we'll talk about them.
Dude, why are you not forwarding me emails?
Yeah, you don't need to read them.
Oh, I don't need to read them.
No,
oh, okay. I see how it is.
And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please give us any feedback. Oh, and we have a ton of positive feedback on iTunes, which is awesome. And we would like some more. So please give us more. 5-star only, please. Nah, that's 4 stars fine if you don't like us that much.
If you like us, be sure to share us too.
5 stars as well. Yes. So give us an email or hit us up in the forums or whatever, and we will talk to you guys next week.